Well, Razorback fans, I think it's safe to say that the pressure is much more on the Arkansas Razorback baseball team compared to the Tennessee Volunteers this weekend in the Super Regional. But if you're going to be one of the all-time great programs and great teams, you got to answer the call to that pressure. Will the Hogs do it? Let's talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Going to have a pretty fun podcast for you today. Not only are we going to get into a little bit of the preview, but crossover edition, if you will, with Eric Kane of Locked On Vols. So looking forward to catching up with him and everything that's going to be going on in the side of things for Tennessee and get to some of the keys of the game and everything like that from that perspective. So it's always good to catch up with him. But I wanted to, of course, get into a little bit of this particular Supers. We've been talking about them, man. It's Arkansas and Tennessee. It's hard to get anything bigger than this. And the pressure is amazingly on Arkansas, not just because of the fans, but because of the program in general. The pressure is on the Razorbacks to come through because if you want to be that program, you got to prove yourself to be that program. Arkansas has had, without question, a lot of success in their history. Dave Van Horn has had a lot of success in his tenure as the head coach. He's one of the all-time greats. But you can't be the greatest of all time or you can't be the GOAT if you don't win at all. It's just how that works. And I think that this year could be the year for the Razorbacks. But the deal is that for Razorback fans in general, a lot of times we try to maybe run from the pressure, run from the allegations that we are not that program. We try to run away from the idea that we could be the best team in the country. Run away from the idea of having a super regional like this against the defending champs, against a really good program with a really good coach, with a really good squad, who has another player who happens to be a Golden Spikes Award finalist. We want to run away from that. And to be honest, Razorback fans, I'm tired. I'm tired of running. I'm tired of running away from that. I'm tired of looking at every single moment and in every single postseason and every single game expecting the worst. Sure, it seems to be the safe bet because if you have low expectations, it's always hard to get your feelings hurt or to, have your pride hurt or anything like that. And knowing Arkansas and their history, they definitely have had some pretty unpredictable moments. They've had moments that made me just want to punch a baby. That was real harsh, but you know what I'm saying. Like, there's just been times that they have really found some egregious ways and incredible ways to end up hurting themselves more so than anything. It's incredible. But there have been a lot of times, and in baseball in particularly, that things have actually gone their way, where they've benefited from something or somebody. They found a way to get it done. I posted the 2012 Super Regional against Baylor when Arkansas won that to go to the College World Series. And that was an insane game, an insane series that Arkansas won. They had a lot of luck go their way in that one to win. And they took care of business. 2022 in the regionals against Oklahoma State, they had some stuff go their way. I'm bringing all that up because there's a lot of examples in postseason baseball especially where you've actually benefited. You haven't been the hog's gonna hog mentality. You've come up big. You've gotten Lady Luck on your side. You've been able to take care of business. You've been able to win games. You've been able to come from behind. You've had those moments in your history. And I just feel like, rightfully or wrongfully so, but since that pop-up foul ball of 2018, Razorback baseball fans have just kind of always expected the worst. And that was in 2018. That was literally 7 years ago. And every single postseason since that point in time, I have felt that way. I've felt when's it going to happen? When's the disappointment going to kick in? Because since that point, it has more often than not. 2019, you went to the World Series, but you went 0-2 in barbecue. You lost both games by 1 run. Sucked. 2020, you didn't even get a season because of COVID. 2021, we all know that ended. Super regionals at home when you were the number 1 overall seed. You had the Golden Spikes winner. 2022 didn't necessarily end in disappointment, although you felt like you were right there. 2023 did, 2024 did, and 2025 stories yet to be written. But the point is that disappointment that you keep holding out for or expecting has happened. In each one of those years, I kind of felt like that was going to be the case. But I'm tired of it. Tired of having that mentality. I'm not going to play it safe. I'm not going to sit back and just, play stupid, play coy, play like, ooh, I don't know. We'll see. We'll find a way to screw it up. Hog's going to hog. I'm not going to do it. Arkansas is going to win this series. Feel good about it. Feel really good about it. And if they don't, I'll be upset. I'll be pissed because you lost to an inferior opponent. But I believe Arkansas is going to win. I have confidence in that. I have confidence in it because it's based in a logic. It's based in a reality. It's based on the fact that you have a really good team, really good pitchers, really good hitters, really good defense, really good coaching. I believe you have it. And I think you're going to take care of business this weekend. Because I'm not going to spend the rest of the postseason here waiting for the next foul ball to drop. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take the approach of looking at it from a realistic expectation. Who's the better team? Going into it, who is the better team? Arkansas going into this is the better team. So therefore, I believe Arkansas is going to win. Not saying it'll be easy. Not saying that it'll be sweep, although that'd be pretty cool. But I think they win because they are the better team. And if they win and they get to Omaha and they get to the College World Series, you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to predict that Arkansas wins it all because I'll believe that they are the best team left of the final 8 teams in the College World Series. Again, not saying they will, but I believe that they will. And it's so much fun to have that mentality. So much more fun to be able to believe and feel good going into it. Be like, nah, we got this. We got this. It's going to be fine. I'm totally not going to regret saying that on Monday, right? Guess we'll find out. But either way, should be a great weekend in Baum-Walker Stadium. We're going to talk with Eric Kane, a little crossover action with Locked On Vols here in just a second. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, all of you out there, the NBA Finals are in full swing. What a game that was last night, right? Well, every night's been delivering highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. You're going to find those players that step up in those big moments. There's quite a few of them. Trust me, there's quite a few of them. And it's really easy to see and to believe and to predict who's going to be good there. So start winning some money on it. Because if you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Super regional time. Tennessee at Arkansas. Tennessee going to the super regionals for the 5th straight year, 7th time in program history. Arkansas has been to many supers, been to Omaha several times, but obviously trying to chase that elusive national championship. But you can't do that until you win a regional. John Nabors, host of Locked On Razorbacks. I am Eric Kane, host of Locked On Vols here. 2 segments of a little crossover. John, it's going to be a massive one, man. We just talked a couple weeks ago. Tennessee went to Arkansas to conclude the regular season. Both those teams at that time kind of going in the wrong direction, right? I mean, losers of a couple of series in a row, all that and more. Since then, obviously, talent's taken over. These are 2 of the most talented teams. Some would argue the 2 most talented teams in college baseball, and they're playing like it right now. You had Arkansas that cruised through the Fayetteville Regional, Tennessee that had to go to Monday but won the Knoxville Regional. Tennessee won a couple of games in Hoover. I believe Arkansas was one and done, but everybody has a strategy down there. John, the table's set, man. It's going to be a massive week at Baum Walker, and I can't wait to be in attendance. I can't wait to see it. This is going to be what college baseball is all about right here.
Yeah, and in fact, I was talking about it on my Locked On Razorbacks as well as my Inside Arkansas show about the highly anticipated super regional that this is. I know Arkansas missed out on getting to the supers the past couple of seasons, and people were kind of holding their breath as Razorback fans, being like, "Oh, can we finally get out of the regional this time? You know, we don't want to make it 3 in a row." And not only did Arkansas get out of the regional, but they looked pretty dominant doing it. So it really provided, job's not done, still plenty of work, but definitely a huge weight off the shoulders of a lot of fans feeling the pressure from what they felt like it was going to be. But the thing is when, I don't know how Tennessee fans felt about it, but when it was announced that these 2 teams, these 2 regionals between Fayetteville and Knoxville would be matched up, it was kind of like, really? You just played each other a couple weeks ago, and obviously both teams got to take care of business, and they did. And so here we are. It feels like almost a College World Series level type of anticipation between these 2 teams because of the history, because of the talent, the coaching, everything. It almost feels like, kind of like that Duke Kentucky game with Christian Laettner. Everyone says it's the greatest game of all time. Well, people forget it's like in the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 or whatever it was. So that's what it feels like. But it's certainly anticipated. There's a lot of energy. Hopefully the weather cooperates this weekend, but should be an awesome weekend in Fayetteville.
Yeah, well, the weather has never cooperated this season for Tennessee. I mean, I have it listed. If I was good at my job, I would have had a story on it and everything about it. But Tennessee has been affected by the rain, I want to say like at least 7 or 8 times this season. It's been incredible. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens. You kind of led me into that point, and I'm not trying to just, I mean, your viewers are going to say, you're saying, oh, Tennessee guy just dunking on it, whatever. But I'm not trying to do that. But you kind of led me to this point, and it's interesting for people like us to talk about. Nobody in those dugouts give a crap about what I'm about to say. But the pressure, it feels like, is on Arkansas. Would you not agree? Because of what you just laid out. They just got out of the regional for the first time since 2022. Chasing that elusive national championship, right? You're playing at home. And then you have Tennessee. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's the expectations are always through the roof. That just is what it is with this fan base or any SEC fan base. But the year's kind of gone a little sideways at times. You're finally playing the way that you can. You get to supers. Nobody's going to say, oh, well, great season, guys. If you lose, the people are going to be upset. But you have been to Omaha 3 of the past 4 years. You just did win a national championship. So that is still the goal. But it feels like for me, I'm not saying house money because that's not correct, but it feels like the pressure is much more on Arkansas this weekend than it is on Tennessee. Would you disagree?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, I said that as soon as it was concluded there in the Knoxville regional that I was going to be Tennessee because, you laid it all out there. And I don't mean this as an insult. I said this on my Locked On yesterday. I don't mean this as an insult towards Tennessee fans. I just feel like this might be Tony Vitello's worst team at Tennessee over the past 5 years this year. But it just shows how good a teams he's had. So it's a thing where Arkansas on paper is a better baseball team. These 2 teams played. Arkansas won the series. Both teams have a finalist for the Golden Spikes Award. which was going to be fascinating to see that matchup here this weekend. But to me, the pressure is on Arkansas because, listen, it's one thing to, feel like you have a better team or to be a higher seed or whatever it is, but just knowing what's at stake and knowing who you're going up against and the performance that Arkansas put in the regional. Again, I know Tennessee's a better team than any team Arkansas faced in the regional, but as everybody should know, maybe Tennessee fans don't realize it because they've been to 5 straight, but getting out of a regional is really difficult. Just ask some of the other teams that like Georgia or any Texas, Vanderbilt. It's tough sometimes. So Arkansas getting to that point, it's great and all, but they got it. Their goal is to get to Omaha. Their goal is to win it all this year. I mean, they have the team, they have the makeup that's capable of doing it, but they got to take care of business. And Tony Vitello and the Tennessee Volunteers are right in front of them. But the Razorback fans know what the pressure is, and I don't know if maybe we talked about this last time, Eric. But a lot of Razorback fans, not all, but a lot of Razorback fans with the baseball team this year is like in the beginning part, who cares? Give me the postseason. Wake me up then. Because none of it mattered. Arkansas has accomplished every single thing you can possibly have in a program, except for the one thing, College World Series title. And so Razorback fans, because of the regional losses and everything, they're like, big whoop. You ended up being a national seed. Who cares? Get us to the postseason, see what happens. So here you are. You're in the postseason. You look dominant in your regional. Pressure's on Arkansas. I think Tennessee is playing with house money because if they lose to Arkansas, I mean, Tennessee fans going to be upset, I'm sure. You don't want to lose.
Oh, yeah.
But are they going to be like, oh, man, this was our year, and I cannot believe we lost to the 3-seed Arkansas? And I mean, I wouldn't think that. But, it's a lot of pressure, and I don't know what to expect, but it's going to be intense there in Baum-Walker this weekend.
Quickly, let's go over for both teams how we got here. All right, Tennessee finished the SEC slate 16-14. I don't know what the overall record was, but they lost 5 straight, lost 6 of 7. I mean, again, things we talked about on the crossover heading into that final series, things weren't going well. Tennessee goes to Hoover, gets big-time wins, RPI wins over Alabama, over Texas, wins the right to host a regional, takes down Miami, Ohio in the opener there, the 4 seed, went with Liam Doyle, and there was a conversation there, like, why not go with Marcus Phillips? Especially with the potential of playing Cincinnati in Game 2, and they steal all these bases. That's exactly what happened. However, Liam Doyle shoved. Marcus Phillips shoved on Saturday against Cincinnati. And because Liam Doyle threw on Friday, he was able to come in and close things out on Monday because Wake Forest did get a game over Tennessee, 7-6. Ugly ninth inning, bottom of the ninth inning with Wake Forest, the home team. I'm sure you share the same sentiments I do. Completely ridiculous that you hope like Arkansas is going to be the away team one time this weekend. It's so dumb. But anyway, Wake Forest walked it off in the bottom of the ninth inning on Sunday. They came back on Monday. Tennessee exploded for 7 runs in the 4th inning. Liam Doyle came in, collected the final 7 outs, 5 via strikeouts, and Tennessee was able to enthusiastically punch its ticket to Super Regionals. Playing, it's never going to be perfect, but Tennessee is certainly playing its best baseball right now, and that's when you want it to happen because, as we know, we can talk about it later in segment number 2 that we do. Tennessee House of Horrors a little bit for playing at Arkansas, playing against Arkansas, and they're kind of humming right now, so that's good. How did Arkansas get to this point since last we spoke? Hoover, and then kind of what's your brief synopsis on the regional for Arkansas?
Well, the thing is that they started SEC play really strong. I think they won the first 4 or 5 straight going back to as far as series goes, but it's so weird because Arkansas was the number 3 overall seed, may have been number 2 overall seed if Vanderbilt hadn't won the SEC title. I mean, they could have been right there. But the thing is they lost 5 of their last 6 series, or 4 of their last 6 series in the SEC. And they went into the SEC tournament against Ole Miss and lost 5-2. But I don't know how Tennessee fans feel about it. It was kind of like, okay, whatever. Don't care. Who cares? Let's just get to the regionals. That's fine. And so obviously ending this regular season against Tennessee, it's crazy because Arkansas has lost 4 games in Baum-Walker Stadium this year, 4, and one of them was Tennessee.
Yep.
And 2 of them were Texas A&M, which brilliant. And the other one was Missouri State in the beginning of the year. So
hey, Texas A&M swept a doubleheader at Lindsey Nelson this year, so we're out there with you.
Yeah, they're really good at beating good teams, but they're not good at anywhere else apparently. So, but either way. But they've made the regional. Okay, you got North Dakota State. You might play Kansas, who is the 2 seed. Creighton, who's a good baseball program. How's it going to go? Well, in game 1 against North Dakota State, Arkansas throws out their Aiden Jimenez. I'm always going to get his name wrong, but either way, Kind of a weird start there because he hadn't really started many games, but he did all right. Arkansas takes care of business. It was
He
a little
started game 3 against Tennessee.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
Or game 2. He started one of those games.
Yeah.
He was the TBA. He was the announced starter.
right.
He started a game against Tennessee.
Yeah. So there's a little bit there, but he's a guy that hadn't started much, and then he gets in there and takes care of business. 6-2 over North Dakota State, but then Arkansas has to play Creighton next game and blows them out 12-1. And Vahiva Aloy, who's the Golden Spikes Award finalist, really comes alive. He had been struggling, and then suddenly he hits 2 home runs in that game. He gets going. Arkansas faces Creighton once again in the elimination game and beats them 8-3. So they didn't end the season just on this crazy great run. The Tennessee series win was nice, but as far as the regionals go, I mean, Arkansas also playing some of their best baseball right now, especially when it comes to their starting pitching, which has been the biggest question mark so far this year.
Starting pitching, what's that going to look like for game 1, game 2, potentially for game 3? We're going to recap, or we're going to preview. There we go, recap, review. No, we're going to preview. We're going to look ahead and decipher, what's going to happen for both these teams, who they're going to send out there on the mound, and so much more. Keys to victory for Arkansas and Tennessee here as we continue this crossover, Locked On Razorbacks and Locked On Vols. So as you mentioned, John Nabors, as we continue on this Locked On crossover, Locked On Vols, Locked On Razorbacks, Tennessee heading to Fayetteville for the Fayetteville Super Regional against Arkansas this weekend. Game 1 Saturday at 5 o'clock Eastern for local. Game 2 Sunday 3 Eastern, 2 local, and then we'll see about Game 3 if needed. It was Jimenez that started the opener for the Fayetteville Regional. Then you went to your Friday night guy in Zach Root, and then on Sunday you went to Gage Wood. And then you didn't have a Game 4 starter. What do you think Dave Van Horn is going to do for the Saturday game and the Sunday game? What do you think? How is he going to line up his pitching? Going to go back to the normal with Wood with Root and then Wood? What's that going to look like on the mound?
Yeah, I think that's exactly how it's going to look. Zach Root has been the ace for Arkansas the majority of the season, and it's kind of incredible because we call it good Root and bad Root, because when he's good, man, Arkansas is electric. I mean, the whole team just seems to have a whole nother level of energy offensively, defensively, across the board when he's good. And that's what you saw against Creighton this past weekend. Zach Root was incredible, and Arkansas won big. It just gave the confidence to everyone. So I think you're going to see him. And Gage Wood, he's been dealing with injury this year. He's a junior. He's kind of a psycho, a little bit from Batesville, but he is a very impressive kid that throws with such velocity. I was at the game this past week, and he had 13 strikeouts against Creighton in the elimination game alone. And I looked up, and he was about to 80 pitches, and he just threw a fastball of 96. I mean, so he's got longevity. He's healthy right now. So to me, it's going to be those two guys that are going to get going. And if this goes to a Game 3, that's what's going to be really fascinating to see what Dave Van Horn does, because Landon Beidelshees has been a guy that started a whole lot. Will he go to him? Will it be somebody like Jimenez, like we talked about?
Would Jimenez throw in games 1 or 2 potentially from the pen?
Potentially there. I mean, that's the thing about Dave. He's throwing sometimes some random things out there, like Beidelshees against North Dakota State in Game 1 of the regional. Beidelshees hadn't come in relief to close a game at all this season, but he did, and he did a pretty good job. So there's no telling. But that's what's really great if you're an Arkansas fan and why you loved it. You had 3 games this past weekend. Arkansas used 8 pitchers. That's it. 8 pitchers. You have guys that have been pitching all year long, didn't even play. And then I think 3 of those 8 pitchers, they pitched like an inning or 2. So you're going to be as fresh as possible in the pitching realm. And I think that's kind of what is an advantage to Arkansas. But I know what the starters are going to look like. After that, though, you never know with Dave Van Horn, because he's always going to do it by a matchup and who he's going to be going up against. But at least we know who the starters will be Game 1 and 2.
So Tony Vitello is going to have a media availability later on Thursday, so we're doing this before that, and we're going to ask him and everything. But here's the question. It's going to be Liam Doyle and Marcus Phillips starting the 2 games that we know of for sure. It's just what order are they going to be in? When you went to Arkansas to end the regular season, that was a Thursday through Saturday matchup. They wanted to keep Liam Doyle, who's been dealing with some blisters, on his normal 5-day rest, work week, all that. So they flipped Marcus to Thursday and kept Liam Doyle on Friday. But it's typically been Liam Doyle, then Marcus Phillips, and then whoever all season long. With Doyle throwing Friday, 104 pitches, and then Monday night to close things out, 39 pitches, he will be on 4 days rest if he goes on Saturday. He has pitched on 4 days rest this year. It's not unheard of. We will ask Tony what his thought process is on that. If at all possible, he will throw Liam Doyle to begin the Super Regional because he's mentioned it many, many times. Obviously, he's a Golden Spikes Award, finalist along with Eloy. He's, a Dick Hauser, finalist. I mean, he's National College Pitcher of the Year semifinal. I mean, name that award, he's there. And he's kind of psycho. Again, his words, not mine. So he loves leading the weekends off with a Liam Doyle. But it will be interesting. Is he rested enough? Is he through his throwing progression, throughout the week? We'll have to see. But regardless, for me, I think it's a win-win. Marcus Phillips is throwing well. Say you get to Sunday and Tennessee has a chance to secure the Supers, you have Liam Doyle there. Say Tennessee's down a game and you turn to Liam Doyle to save your season. That's a pretty much a win-win. If a Game 3 happens, much like Arkansas, we'll just see. A.J. Russell's a name you got to watch out for. They love him as a bridge. He can also start. His Tennessee career has been sidelined with arm injuries, but he's going to be a top 2-round pick this summer. So much potential. He started Game 4 of the regional after pitching in relief in Game 2. You've got another guy that's going to be drafted, a lefty that can throw in the mid-90s, and Brandon Arvinson, long relief. He's had 2 of his best outings his last 2 times out, which is good. Tegan Coons, a true freshman. He could start that Game 3 potentially. So it's going to be where are they in the bullpen type situation, and they'll try to just piece together a Game 3 if it comes to that. But that leads me to another thing on Tennessee's side. One half of the battery is not going to be there on Saturday. And Cannon Peebles, he was ejected in the 8th inning on Monday in the regional finale, and I'll let you know my thoughts on that. But overall, I mean, heading into this weekend, that's advantage Hogs Game 1 for sure. I'm not saying like he swings the best bat in the world, but he is swinging a good bat, and he's the catcher that controls the pitching staff. That's not a very good thing for Tennessee to be without him for Game 1.
Yeah, I think Razorback fans were really bummed by that because he had a great showing in Fayetteville a couple weeks ago. I mean, he was really good. And let everybody know about it. So let's
not forget, this is a guy that is a true freshman at NC State in 2023. Freshman All-American, was the DH primarily, hit like 14 home runs, led the team in RBI and all that. And then he came to Tennessee, and it just kind of never really materialized a little bit. And he kind of took a back seat to Cal Stark. And this year, again, the average isn't where you want it to be, but he has had, as you mentioned, he has had some clutch hits, some clutch home runs. And he's been providing a lot of stability to the bottom third of the order. He's a really good catcher. So, really good player. He'll be a top 3-round draft pick, coming up this summer. But Tennessee's going to have to find a way to move on without him for Game 1.
Yeah, and I think that, with Arkansas and how they've played this year, especially at home, I think it really comes down to Game 1 because I just don't see Arkansas losing 2 games in a row. I just don't see that. And so if I'm Tennessee, I am definitely going all in whatever you can for Game 1 because of the circumstances. But if Arkansas goes out there and, they play like they did this past weekend and, get Doyle hit up a little bit and they take care of Game 1, I'm not saying that Tennessee's cooked and it's over with because I wouldn't surprise me at all if this goes to a Game 3. In fact, I would be surprised if either team sweeps just because of the talent level and everything. But I think that's just got to be. That's why it's so crucial for Arkansas to take care of business in that game. And Tennessee, they're going to have talent. They got talent. They got swagger. They got everything. And I'm sure Tony Vitello, which he's got championships. He's been a great coach. But one thing, head to head, he's not had very much success against Dave Van Horn. Mm-hmm. I know he's wanting it, especially in this moment. This would be the biggest one. But I think with Arkansas, though, you got to continue to get guys going because that's one thing that I'll give them a lot of credit for. A year ago, Eric, Arkansas in the regionals, if you looked up over there at the lineup, they had 2 players that were batting over 300 on the team a year ago in the regionals. This year in the Supers, if you look at the lineup, they have 7 of the 9 batting over 300. And one of them being Brent Iredale was 300 for a long time, just right underneath it. And the other one, Big Country Reese Robinette, he's a guy that started slow but has kept up. So they're hitting the ball well, man.
I mean, you got Justin Thomas, which he's hurt, right?
Justin Thomas is good. He's the one that he actually hit a home run this past game against Creighton. So yeah,
he's hitting 290. You mentioned Iredale, he's hitting 285. Robinette, he's hitting 280. So again, like that's what I was going to say. Like keys to this matchup for me, it's got to be Tennessee's pitching because the bats the Vanderbilt series before going to Arkansas to end the regular season, for a long time, Tennessee wasn't pitching it well. Tennessee wasn't overcompensating with bats, and it was just ugly baseball. The at-bats started getting better. And then in Fayetteville, Tennessee swung the bat great. I mean, offensively, there was no issues, right? Tennessee won 10-7, then lost 8-6, then lost, 8-4, whatever it was. The offense wasn't the issue. It's the pitching. And can you have enough? Do you have enough? Because this lineup doesn't quit. I mean, again, the Alloy brothers, Davalon. I was doing a hit on the radio the other day, and I'm just going through the lineup. I'm like, that guy did something in that series. That guy did something. That guy did. Oh, there's Cozile. Tennessee's played him for 4 years. Hellfreak killed Tennessee in that series. So this is a really, really good offensive lineup. So the key for me for Tennessee is the bullpen, okay? And Liam Doyle. Liam Doyle did not have a good outing in Fayetteville there. One of the few, non-elite outings he's had all year. Can Arvinson give you a lot of innings? Can A.J. Russell step up? Are you going to get good Nate Snead? Tennessee's bullpen's looked a lot better of late. It's going to have to be really, really good in Arkansas because, again, the bats are humming right now. They were humming the last time they were there. The arms have got to back that up. My key for victory for this weekend, Tennessee's pitching has got to show up because it did not show up for the most part outside of Marcus Phillips in that series to end the regular season. I would imagine your keys are just to swing the bat and score more runs because that lineup, again, I think is the best lineup in the country.
You know what's funny? It is, but at the same time, I go back to starting pitching because that has been – there's two things that – actually, there's 1.5, I guess. There's two things that are 1.5 things that Arkansas has struggled with this year. The one that's been the most consistent that they are just not good at is base running. They can't run the bases. They've gotten hosed too many times. They've sent people that shouldn't have been sent like that. It's a problem. So maybe just have some ducks on the pond here and there and don't worry about getting those extra bases. That's been the biggest thing. But the one that's been half there has been starting pitching. Again, when starting pitching is there, there's no better team in the country than Arkansas. And it's been hit or miss. There's been times that Root's given up almost nothing, and then there's other times where he's given up 8 runs. You just never really know. So to me, it's about starting pitching because I believe the offense is going to get there no matter what. I think the runs are going to get there, but can you keep Tennessee from getting their runs, especially in the early going of the game? You're going to have an electric atmosphere in Baum-Walker Stadium this weekend. The last thing you need to do is game 1. The place is going nuts. The anticipation's there, and suddenly you're down 4-0 after 2 innings. Like that's going to take all the energy and all the wind out of the sails. So for Arkansas, to me, it's about setting the tone, starting pitching, getting guys going. The offense will get there. But Root and Wood, they play like they did this past weekend. It might be a pretty short weekend for Tennessee, but that to me is going to be the key.
Also, one other thing, Tennessee will give runs to Arkansas this weekend. Get ready. Defensively, not the best defensive baseball team. And so unfortunately, there will be an error at a big moment that will give a run or two. And Tennessee has overcome that a lot the last couple of weeks. But it feels like the defensive miscue, just the errant throw that he should have put in his pocket or just whatever it is just it comes at the worst time. And so, that's something that if, a good team like Arkansas, you make them pay, sometimes you're not going to be able to come back for that. So, for me, bullpen arms, defense, you got to play clean, and you can't give Arkansas any help because Arkansas is a pretty good ball club. Out the door, John, I would imagine I know what you're going to say, but give me your prediction, Tennessee and Arkansas in super regional play.
I think it's going to go 3 games, and I think Arkansas is going to win. And again, it has nothing to do with Tennessee being bad. I think it's just Arkansas is that good. And if Arkansas just plays their game and does a good job and do what they did this past weekend, I think Arkansas is going to win. Tennessee's going to give them all that they want to handle. So I think that there's that. And I'll also throw in another prediction for you. I think whoever wins this super regional will, at minimum, be in the College World Series final.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm not saying that they'll for sure win it, but I think that this is about as good of a super regional as you could ask. And I know that there's other good teams that are going to be there in Omaha. I know LSU more than likely will be there. But to me, whoever wins this is going to at least be in the College World Series finals. So a lot on the line, should be a great one. But I think the Arkansas Razorbacks take care of business in 3 games.
Arkansas is the home team. Arkansas has dominated this series going back to the last, decade plus, especially at home. Arkansas is the betting favorites. Arkansas is the number 3 overall seed. Tennessee is the number 14 overall seed. But this time of the year, none of that crap matters. Just throw it out the window. It's like if Tony Vitello needs any more motivation, which he clearly doesn't, it's like he loved working at Arkansas. I think he always speaks so well of the fan base and Dave Van Horn and all that. It's like the son that went away. You want to go back. You want to prove like, hey, I can win things. Well, he won a national championship. It's like, I can win without you, okay? I'm good. Like, if there's any more motivation, that just kind of adds fuel to the flame this weekend. This is a Tennessee podcast, at least my half is. Give me the Vols in 3, just because, I mean, I've counted them out many, many times this year, and they proved me wrong this time of the year. So give me the Vols in 3 to win this one.
I'll tell you what, though, if Arkansas does win this series, say it, and especially if they swept it like 1 and 2 games, if I'm a Tennessee fan, I'm gonna start asking questions about, hey, does Tony V have so much respect for Dave Van Horn that he should let him win? Because not to say it's not taken away from anything, but it certainly would be. I think the record would end up being like 11 and 2, something like that, between Dave Van Horn and Tony V. So, I mean, I don't think that.
Hey, you go to that post-game press conference and ask him a question afterwards and see the way he deals with just his demeanor in general. That dude doesn't like losing in tic-tac-toe.
Oh, I know. That's the thing. That's what makes him, in my opinion, I mean this, he's the greatest coach in college baseball right now. I really believe it. Just can't wait for him to be the Arkansas next head coach when Dave Van Horn retire.
Whenever Van Horn steps away, that is just going to be the biggest news swirl, time period ever. It's going to be so annoying. I'm already dreading that time. So we'll see what happens. This weekend is going to be a good one. John Nabors, Locked On Razorbacks. I'm Eric Kane. Thanks so much for joining us here on a Locked On crossover. Big weekend of baseball coming up. We'll recap it on our respective shows next week and get you the news, football news, and college football playoff expansion, SEC spring meetings talk, a couple weeks ago, all that and more coming up the first next week as well. Appreciate you guys for joining us here on a Locked On crossover, Locked On Vols and Locked On Razorbacks.